Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. It was a very unexpected and interesting Christmas here on the homestead for us. And that's part of what we want to talk to you guys about today.
Now, last video we had talked with you about a big cold front that was coming through really like most of the country on different days. And we were spending the day with you getting the animals prepared for the cold weather. And the cold weather did come through, but the most unexpected part of that whole thing and all of Christmas for us was the fact that both Kevin and I got so sick with the flu. We have been down and out now for a week. We're just starting to get better basically today. But you guys, it was so bad.
Yeah. So the day before that cold front moved through, I woke up and I felt terrible. I felt like I got hit by a car. And so I ended up going to the doctor. They tested me for the flu, and I did test positive for the flu. You know, it's a virus, so you basically have to let it run its course. So came home, got in bed. You guys, it is very unusual for me or either of us to be sick enough to not get out of bed. But I didn't get out of bed for 3 days. I had a fever, bad cough. I have asthma, as you know, to begin with, so I was having asthma. Still having a cough today, but getting a lot better. So, needless to say, all of that started right when this cold front was moving through.
And within about 12 hours after Kevin got back from the doctor saying he had the flu, I started getting symptoms. And really, from that day through, really, yesterday, you know, we were really just doing the bare minimum, what we needed to do for the animals to sustain life. To make sure that they were surviving the cold. And we pretty much canceled Christmas.
In fact, yeah, I mean, every year for Christmas, my mom has a big thing that she puts together for Christmas Eve, and we all go over to Mom and Dad's house for Christmas Eve. We had to cancel that. And then normally on Christmas Day, we go to church, which we didn't do this year. And then after church, everybody comes back to our house, and we open gifts and everything at our house and have a big meal. All of that was canceled this year, except for, you know, the girls were here, and we exchanged our gifts with the girls. But other than that, everything else, we were just too sick.
Well, really, the reason why we're telling you guys all of that, and that our main focus was on keeping the animals alive and well and watered and fed, is to tell you that during all of that time, the furthest thing from our minds was this greenhouse.
Yeah, well, as sick as we were, really, the greenhouse was going to do whatever it was going to do. We weren't going to any heroics, and you guys, this is one time when just the timing of everything did not work in our favor.
So you guys, we are going to pull off the row cover here, show you guys what happened to these plants with the cold weather, and then we'll talk about like where we go from here with these plants. You ready?
Yep.
Well, you guys, this is absolutely devastating. These 4 buckets were planted with red leaf lettuce, and they are complete goners. I mean, they're black from the freezing temperatures. They're more than wilted, you guys. They're completely destroyed. Now, this is so devastating for us because in the winter, Kevin and I have lettuce for lunch every single day. And that's why we plant this, so that we can have that, and this is really devastating. Now these four pots of green leaf lettuce, they are hit really hard too, but I don't think quite as hard as the red leaf lettuce. Now, I'd say there's only a 50-50 chance that these guys are gonna survive, because they honestly look, they look really slimy and wilted, really kind of devastated, but there are a few plants that look like maybe if I cut them back, they might come back, but it is too early to tell. We're gonna need to wait a few more days to see what happens. But you guys, this cold weather without more protection than just the row cover that we had on, it just was too much for these lettuce plants. Now there are other things that we have planted in this row. Next up is the bok choy. We have two different kinds of bok choy planted here, and overall they did surprisingly well. None of them are dead, and they look like they're bouncing back. So that's encouraging. We can use bok choy in stir fries and things like that. That's why we grow them. We really do like that over the winter. However, these 4 buckets that we had radishes planted in, they're goners. The radish greens are completely destroyed and black and slimy. I don't think there's a chance that they're gonna survive. These just look terrible. Moving down the row, it looks like the carrots are gonna make it, so that's good. We have some green onions. It looks like they survived. That's great. The leeks that we have been harvesting throughout the winter to use as we need them, it looks like they have survived, and I can't even, I'm really surprised at that, and that's good. We don't have a whole lot else planted here. We do have anise hyssop that Kevin had moved into here. That's his favorite kind of tea, anise hyssop. It looks like that's doing well. You know, chives are perennial. They're going to come back no matter what. So in the end, what we were looking forward to the most growing in here over the winter, the lettuce is pretty much completely destroyed, and that's devastating. Had we been well, had we not been sick, we could have done extra things to protect these plants. We do have heavier blankets, heavier fabric, but you guys, we literally were in bed. Thank God we had our kids here. They were able to help us with chores twice a day so that we weren't out here in the cold, breathing in that just Arctic air. It was really hard on us. They helped us get those things done as quickly and as well as we could, but we weren't even thinking about the greenhouse. So we have some work to do now. We still want to have lettuce for our salads this winter. So really what that means for us is that we need to get the sprout house up and running faster, sooner than normal, so that we can germinate and grow some plant starts, some lettuce starts, and get them out here, replace what has been devastated, so that we can get back to having salads every day for lunch. Now, like I said, the sprout house is not set up. We want to just run in there, kind of show you the state of affairs right now, which is pretty messy, and just kind of go over the things that we need to do to get the sprout house up and running.
So for those of you who have been following us for several years, you know about the sprout house. The sprout house is actually a building that we had at our last property as well. We actually just moved it down here to our new property this summer. It's this building right here behind us. We call it the sprout house because it is where we start all of our plants, all of the plants that we sell at the farmer's market, all of the plants that we grow ourselves. All of those seedlings get started inside of the sprout house. Normally we do that more in the springtime, but because of what happened in the greenhouse this week, we're going to be stepping that up and moving it to sometime within the next few weeks. So let's head into the sprout house, and we can kind of show you what we still have to set up in there and show you a few things that have changed since you saw it at the other property. So, as you guys can see, the sprout house right now is not set up for starting plants. In fact, it is still being used right now to dry all of the Danny corn that we grew over the summer. We did a video on the Danny corn probably about a month or so ago. We've started shelling some of it. We've still got quite a bit to go, but we're going to get the rest of this taken out of the shucks here soon so that we can just, store it all until we're ready to use it. And then we're going to get busy setting the sprout house back up. You can see we do have all of our shelves and everything in here already. These are the shelves where we actually start our plants. You can see we have like hooks and all of this. This is all for grow lights. We have, I think it's around 35 grow lights that we have in here. Now, one thing that is different that's going to be very, very nice here at the new property is that when we had this building moved down here, we actually had real electric installed inside of the sprout house. So we've actually got outlets and switches and everything. You may not have ever realized it, but at our last property, we actually ran this entire thing off of an extension cord that we ran over from our well house not too far from where the sprout house was. So that probably wasn't the safest way to be doing things for the last couple of years, but it's what we did. And in hindsight, I guess it ended up being good because it was easy to move the sprout house and not have to undo any wiring. So, but now that it's here in a permanent location, we did have power run out here so that it's safer and we can, even expand if we want to. So, a couple things that I need to do over the next couple days or so as I start to feel a little bit better is I need to get the heater in here set back up. We have this vented propane heater in here. If you guys haven't watched the videos from a couple of years ago, we used to have a ventless wall heater in here, propane heater, and it was actually killing all of the plants that we were raising in here. Took us half a winter to figure out what was going on. Finally figured it out, and it was because we used a ventless heater. So go back and check out those if you want to learn more about that. But this vented heater vents out the back wall and has solved that problem. So I got to get that set back up, make sure we have enough propane. These are the boxes with all of our grow lights in. I need to get all of the grow lights hung back up. You can see I do still have all of the chains here, and then we can use these chains to raise and lower the lights. So I need to get all of that hooked back up. We've got our heat mats that we need to hook back up. Everything before we can get started. But you guys, we really want to get this done hopefully within just the next few days, because there are things that we need to get started right away, like the lettuce. That is now super important. We could probably start some of that in the greenhouse, but this time of year, even though like today again it's warm, and honestly tomorrow's supposed to be almost 60 degrees, next week we're going to be cold again. So it's better off at this point that we starting things in here. I know Sarah's got a bunch of herbs and things that she wants to start for the farmer's market next spring, and herbs take a long time to get going, so she'll probably start those in January to be able to sell in April or May at the farmer's market. So lots of exciting things coming up for here in the sprout house. I just need to get feeling a little bit better so I can get this put back together. Alright, there are a few other updates we want to give you around the homestead before we leave for today. So let's head over and take a look. First of all, let's see how all of the chickens did during this cold weather. Well, before we head over to the chickens, because right outside of the sprout house were all the cows, let's stop and talk about the cows for just a minute, because some of you were asking in our last video. Over the summer, we had done a couple videos talking about the drought that we had last summer, and we were worried that we may not have produced enough hay to actually make it through the winter. Well, the verdict is still out on that. We did have to start feeding hay a little bit earlier this year than we anticipated. We like to try to wait until December, and we actually had to start feeding hay in November. Also, with this cold stretch that just happened, normally we feed one bale of hay every 3 days to this group of cattle here. And because of the cold, animals need more to eat in the cold so that they can produce the heat to stay warm. So we've been having to feed them a bale every 2 days instead of every 3 days. Hopefully, as it warms back up a little bit, we may be able to get that back to every 3 days, and that would help a lot. For those of you who aren't familiar with how much grass that actually is or how much hay that actually is, a bale of hay that we feed, each bale of hay weighs around 800 pounds. So this group of cattle right here is eating about 800 pounds of hay every 2 days right now. Now, just so you have some perspective, this is our 10 mama cows and then the 4 heifer calves that we're holding back to be permanent parts of our herd. So there's a total of 14 here between the cows and the heifers. So I think we're going to end up okay in the springtime. Feeding 1 bale every 3 days, along with the few random ones that we need to feed to like our dairy cows and stuff. We had thought that we would come out with about 20 extra bales in the spring. Now that we're going to do every 2 days, we'll see. Well, hopefully we'll still end up with more than we needed, but it's all going to depend on how the spring goes and how long the cold weather sticks around in the spring before the cows start eating grass instead of hay. So, as you can see, they made it through this weather just fine. I really wasn't too worried about them. As long as they have food and water, they'll be just fine. Let's head over and take a look at all of the chickens.
On our last video with you guys, we winterized our hoop coops. We had 3 hoop coops for chickens and ducks. Got that all taken care of. And I am very happy to announce that all of the birds did so well. Actually, during this cold stretch, we didn't lose a single animal. Now, these breast chickens, these American breast chickens, are still pretty new to us. We didn't know how they would handle the really severe cold. Hey, guys, they did great. The roosters, we have 2 roosters over here, and we actually have 10 roosters that were growing out for meat. All of the roosters have really tall combs, and sometimes in really cold weather, the combs can get frostbite. But none of them have frostbite on them. They're all doing really good. Now, during the 3 coldest days, we didn't allow any of the poultry out of their hoop coops. We wanted them to stay together, cuddle up next to each other to enjoy each other's body heat. While they weren't very happy about that, I think overall it did help to keep them kind of cooped up and together to keep them warm. Now they're out enjoying the sunshine. They're having a great time, and they all did so well.
The last thing we want to give you guys an update on before we leave for the day is the pigs. All of the pigs did great during this cold weather. I kind of figured they would. As long as they can get out of the wind, and we put a lot of straw in their houses so that they're kind of up off the ground a little bit, the pigs are very hardy. Now, a couple weeks ago, we told you guys that we were expecting a new gilt to be delivered from Wisconsin, and she actually showed up just a couple days before this cold stretch, so we haven't gotten a chance to show her to you yet, but we want to show her to you now. It's this little girl right here, this dark brown. Look how gorgeous she is. And because we got her just before Christmas, we've decided to name her Carol. So we moved one of our young gilts here. Her name is Betty. We moved her in, and the 2 of them are going to spend some time together. Since they're close in age, they're having a good time. It's nice for Betty to actually have another young one. Myrtle was getting a little testy with her because she doesn't want to play. So Carol is going to be one of our new breeders. Look how gorgeous she is, you guys. We got her from Duck Creek Pastures in Wisconsin, where we've gotten other gilts in the past, and just have always been really happy with the quality of the pigs that we get from them. So you guys will be seeing her grow up here on the homestead, and by next fall, we'll actually be able to breed her with Charlie, and she'll turn from a gilt into a sow. So we're excited about that. I think her and Charlie are going to make some great looking babies in the future, and we're really excited to have her here on the homestead.
Well, you guys, that's how things fared here on the homestead during that really cold snap that came through. That's how our Christmas was.
Right.
We lost some things, but you guys were so thankful that even though we were in bed almost an entire week, we were able to take care of the animals well enough, and that they were strong enough to be able to make it through without any fatalities.
Right. It's much easier to replace some lettuce plants than it is to replace the animals.
Yes.
So they had to be our top priority. You guys, that is where we're going to wrap up today's video, because even though we are both feeling better, neither of us are still feeling great. And we have Christmas rescheduled with my mom and dad for the end of the week. And we want to try to make sure that we don't have to cancel it again.
You guys, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead today. Remember that the best way that you can help us here on the homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. And until next time, hey, thanks for stopping by the homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.